You ever blink and miss a title reign? No glory run, no long list of title defenses, just a quick taste of the belt and then poof. In MMA, some title runs are so short, if you blink, you miss them. Like seriously, some guys were champs for a few weeks, some for a few days, and one of them didn't even get to defend the thing. Today, we're looking at the shortest title reigns in MMA history. And trust me, these stories are wild. Some were just unlucky. Others ran into straight-up killers, and a few, well, let's just say the belt didn't belong there in the first place. And hey, while you're watching, let me know in the comments, who do you think had it worse? Vitor Belfort, the most accidental champ. Imagine winning a UFC title without really landing a clean shot. Sounds insane, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Vitor Belfort in 2004. Now don't get me wrong, Vitor's a beast. He was knocking out dudes in the 90s before half the current roster hit puberty. But his light heavyweight title reign? Yeah, that one's weird. At UFC 46, he faced Randy Couture. Huge fight, tons of buildup, and barely a minute in, Belfort throws a punch that accidentally slices Couture's eyelid open with his glove stitching. Just a freak thing. The doctor steps in, says nope, fights off. And suddenly, Vitor's the champ. Even the way he celebrated looked confused, like, wait, did I just win? But don't worry. Couture came back later that year for the rematch at UFC 49 and handled business. No weird cuts this time, just pure domination. Third round TKO, belt reclaimed. So yeah, Vitor held the title for 203 days, but let's be honest, it felt more like he was babysitting it until Randy came back. Carlos Newton, Canada's first champ, and almost forgotten. Before GSP became a national hero in Canada, there was Carlos Newton, the original Canadian champ. And listen, Newton didn't just win the belt, he snatched it from Pat Miletich with a bulldog choke. Yeah, a bulldog choke. When's the last time you even saw one of those work? UFC 31, baby. Wild moment. But Newton's reign was short, and the way he lost it, straight up chaos. UFC 34. He's got Matt Hughes locked in a triangle choke against the cage. Hughes picks him up, probably half out, slams him headfirst into the mat, and Newton's out cold. Hughes wins the belt. Now, to this day, people argue over whether that was a KO or a fluke slam while Hughes was unconscious. Either way, Newton's time as champ lasted just 183 days, and honestly, feels like he never got the respect he deserved. Forrest Griffin, from underdog to champion, and then back. Man, everyone loved Forrest Griffin. He was the people's champ before he even had the belt. He wins the Ultimate Fighter, becomes a fan favorite, and then shocks the world by beating Rampage Jackson at UFC 86 to grab the light heavyweight title. But not everyone agreed with that decision. A lot of folks had Rampage winning that one. Then just 5 months later, he faces Rashad Evans. Starts off strong, looks solid, and then boom, third round TKO. Belt gone, just like that. 175 days as champ, and never got it back. Forrest's title reign might not have been the longest, but it sure helped put the UFC on the map during that crazy light heavyweight era. Germaine Durandi, the champ who wouldn't defend. Now this one's just awkward. Germaine Durandi made history as the UFC's first women's featherweight champ after beating Holly Holm at UFC 208. Sounds great on paper, right? But here's the thing, Cris Cyborg was looming, and everyone knew she was the real queen of 145. And instead of facing her, Germaine dipped. She refused to fight Cyborg, said it was because of Cyborg's past drug issues, and the UFC was like, yeah, that's not gonna fly. So they stripped her. Just 128 days after she won the belt. She went from history maker to, wait, who was the champ again? In no time. And Cyborg? She picked up the belt and steamrolled the division like she was supposed to. Eddie Alvarez, king of two promotions, but not for long. Eddie Alvarez made history. The first guy to hold titles in both Bellator and the UFC. That's legendary stuff. But the problem? Most people don't talk about the belt he won. They remember the one he lost. And how badly. He snatched the UFC lightweight title from Rafael dos Anjos with a TKO on a random UFC Fight Night card. Solid performance, huge win. But then came UFC 205, big lights, Madison Square Garden. First event in New York, and standing across from him, Conor McGregor. Let's be honest, Eddie never stood a chance that night. McGregor pieced him up, dropped him multiple times, and finished him in 2 rounds. It wasn't even close. Just like that, Alvarez's title reign was over, 128 days, shortest in UFC lightweight history. And in one of the most stacked divisions ever, That's a rough one. Josh Barnett won the belt, lost the test. Now this is a heavyweight story with a hard left turn. Josh Barnett beat Randy Couture at UFC 36 to become the youngest UFC heavyweight champ at the time. Second round TKO, big moment. And then, bam, popped for steroids. The UFC stripped him of the belt faster than a ref waves off a TKO. Barnett didn't even get a chance to defend it. Just 126 days with the gold before it was yanked away. And while he went on to have a solid career elsewhere, that short UFC title reign forever has an asterisk next to it. Evan Tanner. A champ story that was bigger than the belt. Evan Tanner was a fighter's fighter. Deep thinker, free spirit, total wild card. And for one brief moment in 2005, UFC middleweight champion. He knocked out David Terrell at UFC 51 to win the vacant belt. But just 119 days later, he ran into a prime Rich Franklin. And it didn't go well. Tanner got stopped in the fourth. And just like that, the belt was gone. But with Tanner, the story wasn't just about wins and losses. He's remembered more for his raw honesty and unique personality than for the belt he wore. Gone too soon, but never forgotten. Carla Esparza, the strawweight trailblazer who got steamrolled. Carla Esparza made history as the UFC's first strawweight champ, won the Ultimate Fighter, submitted Rose Namajunas in the final, and looked like the real deal. But then came Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Esparza took the fight just 3 months later and admitted later that the quick turnaround was a huge mistake. Joanna didn't just win, she destroyed her. It was one of the most one-sided beatdowns in title fight history. Carla held the belt for just 92 days before becoming a footnote to one of the greatest women's title runs ever. Georges St Pierre, greatness, with a side of why bother? We've talked about legends, underdogs, and total flukes, but number one, it's the GOAT himself, Georges St Pierre. After dominating the welterweight division and stepping away from the sport, GSP returned after 4 years off and moved up to middleweight. And what did he do? Just casually beat Michael Bisping and grab a second belt like it was nothing. But then, he dipped. 33 days later, GSP vacated the title due to health issues. No defenses, no trash talk, no build-up, just in and out like a UFC hit and run. Technically, it's one of the most historic comebacks ever. But as a title reign, let's be honest, it barely even counts. So there you have it, the shortest title reigns in MMA history. Which one surprised you the most? Who do you think deserved a second shot? Drop your take in the comments. Let's argue like it's fight week. And hey, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you're into MMA stories like this. We've got way more coming. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown. Catch you in the next one.